So that is what I wanted to speak about in topic one. Let's move on to another legendary player who's having quite a difficult time right now. So Itumeleng Khune allegedly has rejected a non-playing contract. He still wants to play for all intents and purposes, but to be fair to him, he has started working for SABC, so maybe the rumors aren't completely true. Itumeleng Khune last played in May, and that of course was one game that he played, I believe, last season. And the season before was the first time Khune had played less than 10 games, if I'm not mistaken, or at least had one appearance. So it wasn't looking good for Itumeleng Khune, and I don't doubt that he'll be able to find a club. I think there's plenty of PSL clubs that would need a player of Itumeleng Khune's experience. I think that he wouldn't struggle, especially in the PSL, because the PSL does love their older players. I mean, Khune is 37, and you look at Darren Keat, who plays for Cape Town City as a starter. He's 35. We know that we often joke, Uti, some of these players, when they hit 30, 32, 33, that's when they are spring chickens. They're hitting their stride in the PSL. So I don't think that he will struggle to find a team. But there is a conversation here to be had. And the reason why I have Uthemba Zwane here is... Sorry to interrupt this video, but I need a little bit of your help. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can probably see my subscribe account. And if you can, I'd be very grateful if you would subscribe. That is actually the best way to support this channel, because the bigger that number is, the better it looks to potential guests and other brands and companies that I will approach for sponsorship. It may seem like a very small thing to ask for, but it actually helps with all of this. Thank you very much. Let's get back to the video. How do we transition our older players into retirement, into other roles? Do we as fans and teams maybe keep these players too long? And what type of spaces are they closing for other players that might want to come into there? I mean, if Itumeleng Khune, who has done pretty much everything you could do in South African football, is trying to hold on and trying to play, how many keepers are going to come in through that line? Ricardo Goss was speaking about how they need to put a ban on foreign goalkeepers in order to give South African goalkeepers a chance to come in. But isn't the problem maybe also that some of these old players don't want to transition? You know, we've seen so many stories. Happy Chele was the same when offered a role at Orlando Pirates. He allegedly decided to leave. When we speak about Mokoena, who were essentially forced into becoming ambassadors and into becoming other types of players. Do we maybe have a problem in the PSL that we don't know what to do when the players get older? We don't know what to do when we have to transition these guys. And maybe we give them too many chances to come back and play. We hold on for so long. Listen to what happened when Ukosh Manqoba benched Uthemba Zwane. And Themba Zwane, I'm not saying that he doesn't have more to give the game. I'm not saying that he should be shipped out and that we should forget what he's done for Mamelodi Sundowns. What I'm saying is, what is the plan? What is the perception of the plan too? Because the fans, we see him on the bench and we freak out. Mamelodi Sundowns has been playing relatively well. Bafana. We're still looking at guys like Themba Zwane in order to hold the national team up. You know, we have a league that has a DDC that claims to be producing players at a high rate, but those players don't have places to go in the first team lineups. And if these players are even holding on past the point of being replaced, how many replacements have come in for Itumeleng Khune right now? We've seen Ntwari, we've seen Akpay, Vuma, we've seen Peterson, who are still there. If that line is already full, why are you still holding on to try play? And who is advising our players? Surely you would have seen all of the people coming in. And maybe this should be a conversation about the teams as well. What conversations are teams having with these players? Are they upfront with them to say, Guy, you're ending now, you're finishing now. You know, we're going to try to transition you elsewhere. I thought when Dinkalaka was the goalkeeper coach for Kaizer Chiefs. I believe he came with Ernst Middendorp, and he was one of the best goalkeeper coaches that we had. He stayed past Coach Middendorp being there. Eventually left, but he was brought back last season to be a consultant, sort of. And the thinking was, or I believe the thinking was that Kaizer Chiefs was saying, okay, fine, Itumeleng Kune, sit down with Dinkalaka, learn as much as you can from him, and then you're going to be the guy that takes over from there. You're going to be the guy that steps in as a legend of ours. You could even see him training, accepting guests, doing all of the ceremonial things as an ambassador. But then come the last game when they made him play go FNB, pretty much an empty FNB stadium. They gave him a plaque with a signed jersey, and they celebrated all of the years that was there. It felt as though Chiefs was telling him that you're done. He came out, of course, and said, no, it was just a long service award and all of that type of stuff. But are teams being honest with these players when they reach the end? Are teams equipping these players for the end? So if you're seeing that he's leaving, why don't you let him do his licenses? You know, what's happening at TS Galaxy is very good with Bernard Parker. I believe he's the DDC coach. I believe at times he's the one who sits in for Sid Ramovic, even though he's still playing. I think they're getting him ready for a managerial role. And I think that's how you are meant to do it. But we also have to look at ourselves and say, are we ready to watch these players transition out, and are we providing room for them to leave? You know, we can't keep crying for Thembazwane to come back as an example.